Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Facebook Live with GAE. I am Lisa Morgan, a kindergarten teacher and president of the Georgia Association of Educators.
Sharon Doe, the GAE Vice President, and I'm a physics teacher in Augusta, Georgia.
And I'm Carly Shaw, the GAE Secretary Treasurer, and I am a physical science teacher in Fulton County.
And we also have Joe Fleming, our lobbyist, with us this evening. And we have Janice McAllister. And I'm going to let her tell you more about what she does in her role in Clayton County Schools. But she is with us this evening because she is one of the winners of the California Casualty Awards for Teaching Excellence.
Yay!
And Janice, I know being on with us in Facebook Live isn't going to make up for the fact that we can't all go to DC and have a wonderful experience there in the gala. But tell us a little bit about what you do as an educator and what you do in Clayton County.
Well, this school year, I was hired to be an academic coach. So in my role, I support the teachers in instructional planning, collaborative planning, classroom management, and planning professional development opportunities for the staff. Prior to my role, I was in Douglas County for 2 years. And prior to that, I served in Clayton County as an instructional site facilitator, which was similar to coaching teachers. And I also served as a gifted lead teacher. So that's a little bit about my background.
Okay. And one thing that I want to let everyone know, Janice, as one of the awards winners, these awards are presented by the NEA Foundation, and they usually have a gala in DC. And this year, because we cannot attend in DC in person, they are having a virtual gala. And Byron Pitts, the co-anchor of ABC's Nightline, will be the host for the virtual gala, and all members are welcome to join us at the virtual gala. So this evening, we will put the link in the comments for you. And if you would like to join us, it is next Friday night at 7:30. And I can say, as someone who's been able to attend the gala several times, this is one of the most inspirational evenings that we ever have in NEA, because each and every one of the 51 educators that are honored are tremendous educators. And Janice, I want you to tell us a little bit more, because I've seen your pictures before. So I want you to tell us about those things that you do, because you're now helping other educators, but what were those things you did in the classroom that just made the learning experience engaging and wonderful for your students? So look, I want us to pick your brain this evening, because I know you're full of great ideas. So tell us about some of those things.
Well, in my classroom, I take a look at the whole child, and we also build community. And when we build community, we build family, a family structure that supports one another. And so I always encourage my students to know that they are responsible for everyone's learning, and they are responsible for making sure that their friend gets to the next grade. And so I teach my students to work collaboratively. I teach them that there are differences in others, and not everyone is like you, and you must accept everyone's differences, because we all have to work together. And I also share with them that we all bring something to the table, and whatever you bring to the table, everyone can benefit from it. And so that also builds leadership within them. Because I love to celebrate everything and everyone. So in my classroom, we celebrate all of the holidays. And yes, there are some families that don't celebrate different holidays, but in my classroom, I share with the parents, with the families, that these celebrations are learning experiences that are aligned to the standards. And so I also share with the families and my students that we don't always, we celebrate things in different ways and we believe different things. And so when it comes to Santa Claus, no, I don't teach Santa Claus, but when we talk about Santa Claus, for example, you know, children automatically tell their friends, I don't believe in Santa Claus. But then I have to teach them professionally that what you and your family believes, um, what you and your family believe, you know, it's within your household, and you can't infringe on someone else and tell them this is not so, because everyone's family structure is different and everyone has traditions and you have to respect those traditions. So I don't speak to whether or not Santa Claus is real. I speak to the fact that everybody's family believes something different. And so in my classroom, we celebrate different cultures. We speak different languages. I share a lot of different foods with my students because I love to eat. So we're always going to be eating with different subjects. And of course, I dress up. So I wear African attire. For the 100th day of school, I will dress up like a baby doll that has on 100 polka dots. Now, I only had one student in my entire career who's ever asked me, are there really 100 dots on there? And I said, well, you should count them. And when he looked at me, he wanted to count them, but then he wasn't sure if he should. But it just makes learning fun to just come out of character. Students never know from day to day who I will be. The only thing that's consistent with who I am as a teacher is the love that I have for my students. And so when they come to school, they know that's consistent. But as far as my characters, they just never know because I'm so animated. And I always align everything with real world experiences as well. And I also take my world travels and bring those to the classroom because a lot of our students should be exposed to not only their community, but they should be exposed to things that are happening in the state and in the world, because we're supposed to be creating these viable citizens who are going to be learned. And so we can't do that if we don't bring the world to them. And so when it comes to field trips, if my school can't take the field trip, then I take the field trip. I just believe that as a teacher, I should be able to go and have those experiences and bring those back, not only for my students, but also for my teammates, because it's important to know more about what you're teaching than just what's in the standard or what's in a textbook. So I just believe in bringing the world to my students. When you talk about some of the pictures that I shared on Facebook, I've been known to be cat in the hat. I remember when Douglas County Association of Educators were celebrating Read Across America, they asked me if I would dress up as the cat in the hat because that's something that they had seen me do. And so we were at the mall and we set up shop at the bookstore, and so many little kids were so excited about the cat in the hat. Usually children are afraid of characters, life-size characters, but these kids were not afraid. And as I was leaving the mall, the event was over, but as I was leaving the mall, I was still able to talk to kids on the way out the door and talk to parents about literacy, which I thought was cool because everywhere I go, I'm a teacher. And so, but when I think about my classroom, well, my former classrooms, everything is hands-on. When we do small group instruction, it's important to set those expectations and show children what those expectations look like. So when I do small groups, I divide my class up. They're not always grouped by ability. They're just grouped randomly because I believe children of all abilities should be able to work together, and they should be able to work with different group mates as well. And it's okay to change them up because they all still can learn from each other. And so the last class that I had, they were able to function without me because I was more of a facilitator of learning. so much so that they taught each other. And so when I am doing a teacher-led group, the other two groups are functioning on their own because they have the expectations and they have the task that they're supposed to do. And when they are finished with those tasks, they know what to do next. And so within those, within each group, there is a designated leader. And so, so that everyone will know who those leaders are, they wore leader hats. So that no one will be confused about who the leader is. And it's important to have visuals everywhere. Whether they're wearing the hat, you have your expectations listed, you have the task listed on the board. I also have the learning targets so that students will know what the targets of, what the targets are for that day. And so as we are going throughout the lessons, and students will be reminded of what those learning targets are. And those learning targets are derived from the standards. And so people may disagree with sharing the entire standard with the student, but the whole thing about sharing the standards with the student is that you deconstruct the standards so that students will learn the language of the standards, so that students will learn to be proficient in answering constructive responses or responding to a task that they have to work on independently or with a group. And so, wow, I've said a whole lot, but if anyone needs training on these things, I am trained in a variety of things. And all you have to do is just send a request to me and we can work that out. And I can share some ideas with you, and I can, take a look at your lesson plans, because it's okay. We all have to share what we know with one another. That's how we all become better. And every day I seek to become better than I was yesterday, because I have to continue growing, because the knowledge that I acquire is not just for me, it's for others to glean from. And so that's what I do in my classroom, and that's what I do outside the classroom. And I have had the awesome opportunity of being a member of GAE and NEA, in participating in professional development opportunities that has caused me to be that has encouraged me to be the teacher leader that I am. Without professional development and without a support system, teachers can't grow. And so regardless of how many degrees you have, how many certifications you have to continue learning. Learning should never stop for anyone. And that's what I encourage. That's what I've always encouraged my students to understand, that even when I'm in school, I tell my students, I'm in school, and I tell them why I'm in school. And when I have homework that includes them, I tell them I need help with my homework. And so they get excited because they get to help the teacher learn something. And so I say all that to say, you just never stop learning. And with NEA, NEA always provides awesome opportunities. And so check into your membership, everyone. It has great benefits. I've had the awesome opportunity of being a national trainer, training teachers on early childhood education. And with that, I've had the opportunity to represent NEA at different conferences and conventions. And so I've trained teachers not only at the local level, but also at the district, state, national, and international levels. So when I was chosen to represent Georgia, it was an awesome, there's an echo.
Yep.
When I was chosen to represent Georgia, it was quite an honor, because you never know who's watching you. And that's why character is so important, and what you do for others is important. And so servant leadership is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. And when I was chosen, I was surprised, but I didn't know others were watching what I was doing. And I just enjoy sharing my teaching experiences, ministerial experiences. I enjoy sharing with others, because we all can learn from each other.
And Janice, I can just hear it in your voice, how excited you are about teaching. And that's just, it's so wonderful. And especially during this time when there's a lot going on, but it's so nice to know that we as educators, we still have that passion and excitement to be with our students. Sharon, did you have a question?
First, I want to say congratulations, Janice.
Thank you.
I want to know, going back to school this year in the current role that you have, what kind of challenges are you facing now when you have to be in the role of the facilitator to help the educators?
The challenge that I found was relationship building. It's important to build relationships, and I was wondering, how was I going to do that? When I was in the classroom last spring, it was, yes, it was hard doing virtual learning. However, I had an established relationship with my students. So when I stepped into this role, I was wondering, how was I going to build relationships with my teachers? And so, and I said, the only thing I can think of is to tell them what my role is, you know, what my job responsibilities are, and to let them know that I am not your evaluator. I'm not an administrator. I am a teacher leader, and I am here to support you however you need. And I also, our day ends at 3. So I have extended my day to offer office hours from 3 to 4. And so if they need professional development, you know, every week we have professional development days that I actually plan. And so every Friday I remind them that if you need professional development, I am not long-winded. I do drive-by sessions. So if whatever it is you need, if you need it for you, just you, that's fine. We can plan something for you. If you need something for your team, that's fine. We can plan that. And of course, if we need something for the faculty, you know, the leadership team decides that. But it has been working, because the only problems that we've experienced are the internet issues that I may have or that my colleagues may have. And so we work through those. And so when I am coaching teachers and I'm observing them, if I see a teachable moment, then I will just type that in the chat box, because the messages pop up for them, for the teachers. And so they will take the suggestion and they will implement it. And then, you know, after I observe, I give them feedback. I schedule a conference with them, and then I give them feedback. And so when I have that one-on-one time with them, that creates an opportunity to continue building the relationship. And so I never offer anything negative. I always offer positive feedback, and then give them opportunities to grow, next steps, and then we plan that out. And just trying to get to know them was the challenge, and that was basically the only challenge that I had. Well, learning Zoom, because Zoom has really improved since last spring. And so there are a lot of moving parts to Zoom, but we're working through that.
Janice, I had a question for you. And first and foremost, I want to say congratulations. I'm so excited for you. And your list of accolades is very long and very distinguished. So you are a very impressive candidate. So I'm so excited that you were selected. I'm very excited for you.
Thank you.
A question that I like to ask teachers is one that I've always thought about, is my why for becoming a teacher. I did feel called to become a teacher at a very early age. It's just something that I always knew I was going to do. And I just wonder, what is your why? What made you want to become a teacher?
I've been teaching since the age of 9. My third grade teacher would ask me to tutor my classmates because I finished my work early. And so back then, they didn't know what to do with gifted kids other than give them extra work or make them go tutor someone else. And so I began tutoring at the age of 9. At the age of 13, I participated in a reading is fundamental tutorial program where I tutored children who could not read or who had difficulties reading. And that program was at the Augusta Public Library. And the head of the children's department back then was Karen Gross. And I keep in touch with her today. I love all the librarians that were there. And so she recommended me later to become their staff artist at the library, something I did after school. At the age of 15, I became a Sunday school substitute teacher because my mother was a substitute teacher. And so my mom always made sure that we were reading the Bible and reading books that we had a choice in reading. And so every week we went to the public library. And then at the age of 18, I became a real Sunday school teacher. And then when I went off to college, I thought I was done with teaching. But no, I was tutoring my classmates in algebra and biology, if you can figure that. I majored in biology pre-med, actually. I did not know my calling was teaching until I had a classmate that I would run into every now and then. It was kind of like a touch by an angel type situation because I didn't know where he lived on campus and I didn't know what classes he was taking. And I did not recall ever discussing with him what I wanted to be in life. So every time he would see me, he would remind me that I was called to be a teacher. So after changing my major to community health, I did that for a while and I said, well, this isn't for me. And one day I was sitting in biology class, daydreaming about teaching kids. And then that dream followed me. And then I changed my major to early childhood education. And I've been teaching ever since.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's my calling as well. And I know it's my calling because I asked God to give me a summer job, right? So every time I asked him, he always gave me something to do with summer school or somebody's tutorial program. And I did not want to do any of that. And so he wouldn't give me a job in anything else. So I said, yep, this is my calling. And everywhere I go, I'm teaching somebody.
So I'm going to remind everybody because I really want our people that are viewing tonight to make their plans for next Friday night, February 12th. You can join us for the gala for the NEA Foundation, and Janice will be recognized as our winner from Georgia, and there will be educators from all over the state. And just listening to Janice tonight and how inspirational she is. Yeah, I want to go out and find some kids, teach a lesson. You will truly be inspired by all of the stories that we will hear next Friday night. So we are putting that in the comments again, so you can register to attend the gala next Friday night. And we will have one very, very excited winner next Friday night because one of the California casualty winners will win the Horace Mann Award, and that comes with a cash prize. So I know we will have somebody very excited because anyone will be excited to win some cash. Janice, one thing that we talk about every week is how things are going during COVID. And so I know you are one of the lucky ones to be in a district. Tell us about how COVID has changed things for your district and what you all are doing right now.
Well, I'm very blessed to be an employee of the Clayton County Public School System, where Dr. Morcease Beasley serves as our superintendent. I would like to thank him and our board members for really listening to the experts when it comes to COVID, because every week they take a look at the numbers. They take a look at the school reopening guidelines. They have meetings, and they keep the administrators informed. They keep the public informed. They also have a COVID dashboard on the school system's website, so that if you want to know what has been said or what's happening currently, they have that information for you. We have been remote since August, and we really haven't missed a beat. We're missing students, but I can honestly say that they go and try to find those students to make sure that they know where they are. Well, they know who they are, but they go and try to find out where they are. They've offered hotspots for those who don't have the internet. And so for my school, my principal, Mr. Marquise Strickland, he makes sure he gives us weekly updates. And I can appreciate that, because that lets me know not only does my principal care about me, but he also cares about the children, the staff, everyone, and the district cares about the safety of everyone. And so when they take a look at the numbers and they give the information, I can say that I am very blessed, and I know that a lot of other colleagues and families are blessed as well. I just received a flyer today from my principal where we're having a town hall meeting with our community, so that they will know why we are still virtual. My school is going through IB authorization, which is the International Baccalaureate program. And so we're going through the process of becoming an IB school. So we will be sharing not only COVID information, but we will be sharing that information as well. And so we also have a parent liaison who shares information with the parents as well. So we have different opportunities to communicate with our families, from the district level to the school level. And so the thing I can say about the superintendent and the board members is that you can talk to them. You can email them, you can call them, and they will answer your questions. And so so that's what's going on in Clayton. And every Friday we have professional development for our teachers. And our students go to school from Monday through Thursday. Friday is asynchronous. And last semester, they worked the schedule and reworked the schedule so that our students would have different breaks throughout the day, so that they don't spend a lot of time on the computer, because a lot of screen time isn't good for our children. And so they take into consideration everything. And so so I can appreciate that.
Yes, yes. So Sharon, what's happening in your school? Janice, we've been talking about this because it's been a roller coaster with in and out and in and out.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? Because last week I think you were out.
Well, in the Richmond County School District, we have decided to go to asynchronous Fridays, even for the face-to-face students. The teachers still have to report to work, and it's asynchronous Fridays only for high schools. And if it's a magnet school, the middle school students are also asynchronous on Fridays. Our online students were already asynchronous. So that's just putting our face-to-face students in line with our online students. And it's to give the teachers time to review with students who need the extra review, or students who may need one-on-one, and just to catch up on general responsibilities like grading papers or grading assignments online. I'm one of the teachers. Everything is online for me. I don't accept papers, but some teachers still accept papers. I think it's safer to have everything online.
Carly, how are things going for you?
Right now, we are in school. Students are in school and online. We're still doing that hybrid model where I have to teach the children in my classroom at the same time that I'm teaching students on the computer. That presents a lot of challenges, especially like Janice was saying, if we have a student that doesn't have a good connection, that's an issue. We have to record our classes so that students can go back and watch if they miss something. So it's still just trucking along to the best that we can. Some days I feel like I'm hanging on by my fingernails. I'm just, it can be very stressful and very trying, but even with the situations we've had this year and the challenges we faced, there is nothing I would rather do than be a teacher. And Janice has just made me feel so good about all the things that I do, and hearing her talk about stuff is just making me excited. And I started having ideas come in my mind about, ooh, she dresses up. Ooh, I wonder if I could be Miss Frizzle one day, and the kids would go crazy. So it's so exciting and empowering to be able to talk to other educators. And I do miss that because we're so isolated right now during this time. We don't really have time to do professional learning where we're getting to converse with our other fellow educators and get ideas and things. So a night like tonight, when we're getting to talk to each other, is such a warm welcome. I'm really enjoying this.
Yes.
Also, in my school district, our school population has increased because some students who were online first semester, their parents decided to send them back face-to-face second semester. So that has presented a lot of scheduling problems.
And Lisa, if I could add something, our school district thinks of everything. For those who are joining late, I'm referring to Clayton County Public School System. They think of everything because they also have school sites where parents can go and pick up food if they need food. And so they think of everything. And they added the student engagement specialist. They added that particular role to the school this year. And that person is responsible for finding out why that student is not engaged and helping the parents to giving the parents different strategies to help motivate the student. Or it could be a situation where they don't understand how to work the computer or something like that, or they need resources. The parent liaison also helps with that, but then we have the student engagement specialist as well. So Clayton County thinks of everything. And for those who don't know, Clayton County is a model school system. And I'm not just saying that because I work there. I've worked in several school systems. And when you're talking about curriculum and instruction and the safety of students, from COVID to transportation to technology, I mean, it's a model school system. So if you take a look at Clayton County and you see different positions that exist, find out more about those positions and then ask your school board and your superintendent to possibly look into creating the position and hiring people to support students and families in those areas, because our students need more support than what the classroom teacher can offer.
Yes.
Janice, you are so right about that. And I think we've all been thinking, we've been surviving this year.
Yes.
We've been surviving. And as we move out of surviving, I think a student engagement coordinator, just hearing that even once we're out of this, our students are going to need more counselors. We're going to need more social workers.
Yes.
Our parents need more parent liaisons and somebody that's just focused on our students and helping them learn and get back going. One thing I want to let everyone know, I want you to mark your calendars again. Next Saturday, the 13th at 1 p.m., we will be having a GAE Safe Schools rally, because as Janice has been telling us tonight, we can provide a good education for our students remotely. And the situation in many of our schools is not safe. And so I'm going to put the link that you can go ahead and sign up for our Safe School Rally next Saturday. And we will be talking about all of those things that it's important that our superintendents that aren't like Dr. Beasley and that are insisting on people being face to face, what they need to do to make sure it is safe for our colleagues, our students, and our families. And since we're talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and depress us all. We do this every week. As of today, there's 81,598 positive cases of COVID-19 in Georgia in our children, birth to 17. 1 week ago, that number was 77,697. January 3rd, 1 month ago, it was 60,114. And the number that I've really been talking about to put this in perspective, November 30th, we had 40,000 cases in our children. So from the beginning of March, when we had the first cases in Georgia, to November, and it took us to November 30th to get 40,000 cases in children. And we have doubled that in 2 months. We have had 40,000 that fast. So it's the cases in our, you see the cases and you hear the numbers, but those are children. That is someone's child that is sick. And I know we've been hearing a lot this week about the CDC saying that it is safe for us to be in school and that that transmission doesn't happen in school. Y'all have heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they stopped at the end of it's safe for us to be in school. But there's more to that sentence. It's safe for us to be in school if, and this study showed mandatory masks, social distancing. The schools they studied in Wisconsin, where they said there was only 9% of the kids that were COVID positive passed it to somebody else at school, they had 11 or 12 students in the class. So of course they could social distance. The other if that's there is what we haven't seen yet. They say that we need to have testing of everybody that's in the school. So if we have staff or children that are asymptomatic, that we can find that.
I don't have a single class that has 11 students in it. Even with the reduced population with the students who were face to face, my classes were still larger than 11.
Yeah. So we will be talking about that and what we have to do. And then, of course, everyone's talking about the vaccine. So, but we know that's not going to be a silver bullet. We still got to wear a mask. So now that I've pressed us.
Lisa,
Yes.
I know you said you would be you all are going to contact the superintendents with a letter, but at some point, can you reach out to Dr. Beasley and Dr. Lockhart in Dooley County? I read an article about Dr. Lockhart. I don't know him personally, but he has decided, him and his board has decided that they were going to do virtual learning as well. And so I think if everyone is made aware of these particular stories, I mean, there could be more out there, but if people were aware of these particular stories, then maybe others will come on board. Because in his in the article, it talked about community and how important it was to listen and to be mindful of what's really going on. And so, so they've made the decision to do virtual. I think the sad part about it is that, you know, Clayton County is a model school system, but, you know, people have their own narrative about it. And so I'm glad to be able to share with everyone that Clayton County is a model school system. And so, but I think more of these stories need to be told.
Janice, you are exactly right. And we will reach out to them. I had planned to reach out to Dr. Beasley, and we will reach out to Dr. Lockhart as well, because we all know that having school virtually and remote learning, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard as an educator, but we've adapted and our students are adapting. But your story about your student engagement specialist, you know, that's something that you all are doing. And, you know, that's something that we really need to hear about, so that when the question comes, well, the kids are just sitting there all day long, glazed over on the computer. Well, how are we helping them?
Right.
How are we helping them? And that's okay. And I thank you for that, but we've gotten depressed. So I want you to inspire us some more, because you have done that this evening. So tell us something. Um, Tell us about a time with your students that it just bombed, but how you made it great, because I know that happens with great educators. It does.
Yes. So yes, I've had that class. Um, but the amazing thing about having that class is I had to realize that I needed support.
Mhm.
I had to admit that I needed support. And once I admitted to myself that I needed support, because it didn't matter how many years of teaching I had, it didn't matter how many degrees or certifications, I need support. So I talked to my principal about getting support. So I had that class. And so that particular class, I would shake my head at my principal every time I saw him. And he had to stop me and remind me of my success with them, because I didn't see it. I was so wrapped up in, I have to teach the standards. I have to make sure that their behavior is on point so they can learn. I have to make sure this one is fed. I have to make sure that this one goes to the office to take his medicine. I was so wrapped up in all of that he had to tell me what success looked like for me and my students. So with my students, I had more than half of them had some behavioral issues that needed more than my support. So when I told my principal that I needed support, he contacted the behavior specialist. So when this behavior specialist came to my class, she was there to see one student, not 10. So I told her who the student was that she came to see. I said, but I need you to look at all of them. And she said, okay. And then I was doing a teacher-led small group when she came, and the other children were in their independent groups, 2 independent groups. But everybody was working. There was no conflict going on. So the kid that she came to see, she was so excited to see him be a leader. I was excited too, but not as excited as she was, because I said, today is not his day. His day was yesterday. And so, but she saw him lead. And so I didn't want her to get the wrong idea about the fact that he needed support. So she was talking to me about him, and she was coaching me along when I was actually working with him one-on-one as well. And so the thing that she said, everything that she said to me, I would do, or I would say. And so at the end of our time together, she said to me, he is where he's supposed to be. I thought I was going to fall out. I said, no, he is not supposed to be in here. I said, he needs more support than what I can offer. And she said, no, he is where he is supposed to be. And so when I read her presentation, because I wasn't able to attend her presentation about autism, and I read all of the suggestions that she was giving I said, oh my God, I do all these things. But to me, I felt like I need more. And it wasn't that I needed more, I needed to be consistent at what I was doing, because I was trying this and trying that. And it was frustrating because I really wanted to reach him and his 9 other friends. And so, and I'm not a special ed teacher. I'm just gifted at what I do. But I'm not certified in special ed. But that particular year, I learned a lot about mental illnesses. I learned a lot about special education. I learned a lot about how to help kids who were not diagnosed. And I'm not certified to do all of that either. But I learned a lot about how to help them. And so, so we made it through the year, and then COVID hit. Well, for that one kid that she came to see, we were making headways because I was doing the behavior incentives chart. He didn't want to learn what I was teaching. He told me one day, he said class was boring. So I said, oh, okay. So instead of me getting all upset, I said, well, let me have a conversation with him to see, to check out his perspective. So I did. And I asked him to tell me, why was class boring? He said, because I already read all this and I already know this. And it was because he likes to read ahead. So I said, okay, so I want you to write down some things you would like to learn about. I said, we're going to do a learning contract. And so he said, what's a learning contract? I said, that's an agreement between you and I where you tell me what you want to learn, and then I'll tell you what I want you to learn, and then we're both going to sign it. And I said, a contract, once you sign it, you can't break it. It's a promise. And so he got excited. But here's the thing, class was so boring. But when he started on his contract, he would pull out all of his resources for the contract and he would put them on his desk. But whatever I was teaching, whether it be reading or math, he would pull out the book and have that book in his lap. And he looks at me as I'm teaching, but he's trying to get his contract done, but he's listening to me. So I said, I said, class isn't so boring after all. And so, but he was a really smart kid. And then one day, we were going on a field trip and I needed to, he would need an extra chaperone. So I told him, I said, I need you to he read the permission slips before getting on the bus. And he asked me, did everybody have 2 papers? I said, that's none of your business. I said, I need you to get those signed and bring your money so you can go on the field trip. I really want you to go on the field trip. Well, he thought he outsmarted the teacher. So he brought in 1 permission slip signed. And I said, did you bring back your permission slip? And he smiled at me. And he said, yes, ma'am. I said, where's the other one? And he said, I didn't bring it. I said, well, since you're trying to outsmart the teacher, I've emailed those forms to both of your parents. So they both have those forms. And he was so stunned. He stood there, his mouth fell open, and I just laughed on the inside. I didn't have the heart to laugh at him while he was standing there, but I just thought it was so funny because he thought he was outsmarting the teacher. And this is 2nd grade, by the way. And so he was able to go on the next field trip because I had asked a teacher to be a chaperone for him. And at the end of the field trip, he gave me the biggest hug before getting on the bus. And he said, thank you for letting me go on that field trip. I really enjoyed myself. And that really made my day because he was the kid who would read every sign for the exhibit. All the exhibits, he read each sign as we went through. Other kids were just excited to be there, but he read each sign. But yeah, I miss him. Well, I miss my whole class. I miss being in the classroom. I miss being in the classroom. And currently, I'm going to be working on small groups with several teachers, just so I can go in and actually teach.
Yes.
Because I miss it.
You're saying he gave you a hug, and I'm missing those hugs. We
Yes.
had those.
Yes.
So Joe, we need you to give us an update about what's going on at the Capitol. And before you do that, real quick, let me let the people that are watching know we've had a couple of questions that are specific to DeKalb issues. And so I am going to refer you all to your local president, Deborah Jones. And also your UNISERV director is Taya Donald. And yeah, that hopeless feeling that you all are describing, we understand that, and they can help you deal with that in DeKalb. And there was also a question about the counties denying ADA accommodations. And unfortunately, we've seen that happen a lot. Carly shaking her head that that happened in her district as well. I'm also putting in the comments, we are having a local leaders training for GAE. So if you are in local leadership in GAE, or if you would are interested, you are welcome to attend this virtual event. And then Joe, if you can give us the legislative update, and I will also put the link for the registration for our virtual day at the Capitol.
Sure. So today concluded the 11th day of the 40-day legislative session. They have 40 days. They don't have to be all together. They could be 2 this week, 1 next week, 3 next week. And in fact, last year, you remember, because of COVID, they shut down for 3 months. But today is the 11th day, was the 11th day of session. Looks like we're in session tomorrow and Monday through Thursday of next week. There's kind of an underlying feeling, though not particularly spoken out loud, that the session may adjourn at some point because of COVID. I know there's a lot of priority being given to the things that they absolutely have to do, which is to adopt any changes to the mid-year budget, that's the current fiscal year budget, and to create a budget for the 2021-2022 calendar year. So the budgets have been on a kind of a fast pace, and I think it's predicated on the possibility or the possibility that there might be a shutdown in the session. And you know, just yesterday we were in the House Retirement Committee meeting. They had hoped to have a joint meeting with the Senate Retirement Committee, but that was thwarted because so many members of the Senate Retirement Committee either have COVID or are in quarantine. So COVID is having its impact. It's also having its impact in some really negative ways for public education. And one example is a private school voucher bill. These are bills that take taxpayer money and give them to families to pay for the private tuition of their children, which incidentally are overwhelmingly white male children. There's a bill pending that would say that if your school system has not been open 100% of the time, full time for in-person learning as an option, then a student in that school can qualify for one of these private school scholarships, which I view as highly punitive to public education. Schools and districts have been fighting with the most appropriate way to deal with COVID in their communities. Some have shut, and I think rightfully so, during times when community spread has reached high levels. But this would allow that their school took those kind of actions would allow the student to qualify for your neighbor to pay for your private school education of your kids. It's a bad bill on a lot of fronts, but the COVID front is I think especially punitive. There have been many private schools that have also done the same thing, and that is shut down because of COVID in their communities. Some of the most prestigious schools in Atlanta have shut down because of COVID. They're not penalized, but public education is. This bill could take somewhere between $500 million and $700 million away from public education and give it to private schools. This is on top of a tax break that wealthy parents already get when they send their kids to private school. And it's on top of, it's money away from public education, which in addition would include also money that was taken out of the budget this year from pre-COVID levels. You know, the governor did recoup 60% of the funding for DOE and QBE, but that leaves 40% unfunded, which is about $383 million cut for education and just in the next 5 months. So HB 60 is a bill that we're following. In fact, I believe in the next day or so, you will hear from us asking you to contact your legislators and the members of the House Education Committee with our concerns about the bill. It is, in my view, the worst, biggest, baddest voucher bill we've seen yet. There's also a voucher bill in the Senate, and that's Senate Bill 47. It takes the existing special needs scholarship, which is another voucher program, and adds the number of students that will be eligible to that. One thing I'll point out between the existing, by the way, scholarship program and the new proposed House Bill 60, basically educational account, there are 4,600 students being serviced by the existing special needs scholarship. The new HB 60 bill would create up to 85,000 new recipients of state money for private school education. We are working also, and we've mentioned this on numerous calls, on legislation to address the situation with school district waivers. These are situations where school districts ask the Department of Education to waive laws and regulations in the Georgia Code. For example, class sizes is one of the easiest to point to. A school district can ask for a waiver from class sizes, and if it's granted by the Department of Education, which it almost always is, they have no limit on the number of students rather that they can put into classrooms in their schools. Lisa and I were told that only the fire marshal could step in and say there are too many students in this classroom. And this is supposed to be a waiver given in exchange for a promise that the district will show academic improvement of its students. And I don't know how you can take class size and put no cap on it and ignore the high standards we have in state law and expect scholastic performance to increase. Hopefully we'll see some movement on that kind of legislation in the next week. But I think it's going to be a good bill that GAE is going to like and that we need to get behind and support. So between waivers and vouchers, those are the two issues that are taking most of our time. There is at hand a planned meeting of school superintendents at which Lisa will be in attendance to discuss vaccination of teachers. That's been in the news a lot lately. You know, we saw it at some private schools, their teachers already have been vaccinated, though they're not on the priority list. The only people on the list right now are 65 and older and with certain medical conditions. So how they jump to the front of the line, I think it's got some people kind of confused, but it has raised the attention of some lawmakers. State Senator Jen Jordan, for example, leading the cause to get teachers up on the list in terms of priority for vaccinations. So we'll be following that closely too. I'll be happy to answer any questions there are, or I know we're kind of running short on time.
Yes, we are. But one thing we have to do before we're done, I saw that Ernest McCord from Clayton County, who is one of our wonderful bus drivers, is on tonight. And this won't impact him yet because y'all are still doing the right thing. But we have learned, and we will have more information for our members, that the new CDC and National Transportation Safety Board rule that masks must be worn on public transportation. I know y'all saw the thing about the airplanes and the airports and the subways and the buses. That applies to public and private school buses. So in our districts where there is not currently a requirement that students wear masks, that requirement is now extended to the buses. And that is wonderful because we've talked with bus drivers before and we know they can't socially distance on that school bus. We've all seen those buses with, 2 to 3 students on a seat as they pull in the morning or pull off in the afternoon. So I want to let everybody we know that.
Can I add just one thing?
Yes, Joe, go ahead.
While we're speaking of Ernest and the many great school bus drivers and cafeteria workers that are members of GAE, you are part of that $1,000 bonus that the governor pledged this year. So he's giving a one-time bonus to basically in-school personnel, teachers, bus drivers, secretarial support, you name it. So the State Board of Education will vote on that. This comes from federal care dollars, so it doesn't have to go through the state budget. We'll vote on that February 18th, and I'm told in March those checks should start rolling.
Well, I can assure him we've earned it.
Yes, yes. And those bus drivers and cafeteria workers and custodians
Absolutely.
have completely earned it. And more, and more. They are worth so much more to us. So I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. Once again, congratulations, Janice. We are thrilled for you. And you have given us all inspiration this evening. And I think everyone will walk into their classroom in the morning, if they are in their building, with something new to think about and a little bit more energy than they may have had this morning. And I think that's one of the great things, that you're inspirational to us. Congratulations. Thank you for being with us this evening. And
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'll remind everyone to join us next Friday, February 12th at 7:30 for the NEA Foundation Gala to celebrate Janice and all the other award winners. And then next Saturday at 1 o'clock, we will have our rally for safe schools. On February 20th, we will have our local leaders training. And then February 25th, we will have GAE virtual day at the Capitol. And we need you to sign up and join us and be ready that day, because as Joe's told us, we not only have to be out there speaking up for our students and their safety in COVID, but we have to be speaking up for our students and colleagues at the Capitol, because there's some stuff down there. Joe called it the biggest, baddest bill he's ever seen. Well, we all know about the big bad wolf. And that's kind of what it sounds like. Thank you all, and we will see you next week once again at 6:30. You all have a great evening.
Same to you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.